Hello everyone, in this lesson you will learn a really quick way to remove flyaway hair and make it look more uniform and harmonious. This technique is really easy and you're going to make a use different to your photos in just a couple of minutes. So here we have our image. Before starting, I'm going to show you two before and after where I have already used this technique before, and then we will repeat the same process together with the photo of before. So this is the first example. Let's take a look at the before and after. The same thing with the second example. Let's take a look at the before and after. You can see that now the hair looks more harmonious and uniform compared with before. So now let's go back to our image and let's repeat the same process together. First, let's duplicate the layer with Command J for Mac or Ctrl J for Windows. Now we are going to create a selection with the outside of the hair with the pen tool. So let's select the pen tool and let's start to make our selection. We are going to make the selection really close to the outside of the hair. Now let's close our selection. Then once you have your selection, if it's necessary, you can refine it with the direct selection tool. Once you are satisfied with your selection, then create the selection. So let's click again on the pen tool, let's make the selection and let's choose a value around 3 or 4 pixels. So now we have our selection, and there are two methods that you can use for removing flyaway hair. The first one is using the mixer brush tool and the second is using the clone stamp tool. We are going to see both methods. So first I'm going to save my selection for later because I wanted to show you the two different techniques, but of course you don't have to do this passage and you can skip it. So I'm going to tap on select and I'm going to tap on save selection. And then I'm gonna press OK. So now let's start from the first technique and let's use the mixer brush tool. So let's select the mixer brush tool. So here are my settings. Wet 100%, load and mix, I will choose a value around 35 and 50% maximum depending on how much you want to blend the effect. Then flow 100% and smoothing around 5%. Also, a really important thing is to choose the clean brush option from the current brush load menu. And also you want to enable this option, clean the brush after each stroke, because we want the brush with no paint and the same setting every time that we click on our background and we create a new stroke. If not, the brush will keep the color from previous strokes and it will create a not uniform effect. But don't worry, because now we will make an example and you will understand it better. So now let's start brushing over our background in the direction of the hair. Let's zoom in a little bit. And let's start. I recommend you to do multiple and fast strokes. So I'm going to show you what happens if you don't have this option enabled. So let's disable this for a second and let's brush over the hair. You can see that now the brush is keeping the color of the previous stroke and it creates such a mess in the background. So of course the result is not good and we want to clean the brush after each stroke. So let's go back. Let's clean our brush and let's enable this option. Now let's go on. Let's deselect the selection, so let's tap here, select and deselect. So here basically we have our final result. You can take a look at the before and after. You can see that the hair is look more harmonious and uniform compared with before, and also we have removed all flyaway hair. If the effect is too strong, you can also use the blur tool with a low medium value, and then you can brush over the outside of the hair to make the hair look more natural. So I'm going to do it just a little bit. Now I'm going to show you the second technique, which is really similar to this one. So let's turn off this layer for a second, then I'm going to load the selection that I've created before. So here after. Then I'm going to tap on the clone stamp tool. You can play with the opacity, but I recommend you to use a high value. Let's make the brush bigger. Let's zoom in a little bit. And now I'm going to start taking samples from the background and painting really close to the hair. Once you have done, you can deselect the selection, and here you have the final result. So you can see that the result is really similar to the other. I can say that maybe this technique is a bit faster comparing with using the mixer brush tool, so it's really depend on what you prefer. You can use the mixer brush tool or you can use the clone stamp tool. Also in this case, if the effect is a bit too strong, you can use the blur tool to blur the outside of the hair a little bit so you can make the effect looks more natural.